there, this is Dustin, and welcome to the Wrestling Time Post Show. It is Friday, February 17, 2023, which means I will be reviewing both Friday Night Smackdown and AEW Rampage. Now, let's kick off with Friday Night Smackdown. So, Friday Night Smackdown was live in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, in Sami Zayn's hometown. This is a Smackdown, the go-home show to the Elimination Chamber. So Sami Zayn closed tonight's show, and honestly, he said very few words, but just hearing that pop that Sami Zayn got as he came out to the ring, people were saying, "Ole, ole, 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 ole." Sami Zayn started crying. He came out with his own themes music. And they were chanting, "You deserve it." He said that year after year, they tell people that Mania is the most important show of the year. He said that tomorrow is once in a lifetime. And he starts speaking in French. If anybody speaks French out there speaking French, let me know what Sami Zayn said. He said that tomorrow night is not Roman Reigns versus Sami Zayn. It is Roman Reigns versus Sami Zayn in the entire city of Montreal. Sami Zayn got super emotional during this promo, and it was just so fantastic. Oh my God, tomorrow, win or lose, the crowd is going to be behind him. He is going to be just cheered throughout the entire night. But I honestly think that Sami Zayn is still going to lose. I still think he's going to lose. I'm not going to change my mind about that. I think he's definitely losing tomorrow. So I honestly, tomorrow's main event's probably going to be, like Sami Zayn said, once in a lifetime. I mean, like I've said, you don't want the crowd to turn on Cody Rhodes because it's not Sami Zayn. I still think Sami Zayn is losing, and I still think he's going to get beat down. I don't think they're going to change any or deviate from what they've been doing. Oh my God, but this moment, Sami Zayn totally deserves this moment. I mean, he's worked hard all year long. Last year when he had that feud with Johnny Knoxville in the Anything Goes match, that was actually a really fun match. Sami Zayn has just done great stuff, and he's finally getting his flowers due. So would I like to see Sami Zayn win or beat Roman? Yeah. But storyline-wise, I feel like it's not gonna happen. But overall, that was a great way to end Friday Night Smackdown. With Sami Zayn coming out, he got his moment in his hometown of Montreal. But with that being said, SmackDown kicked off tonight with Natalya and Shotzi versus Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler. This match was okay. Obviously, the only reason this match happened was because Natalya is from Canada. But I wasn't a huge fan of this match. Natalya and Shotzi did lose. Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler beat them by submission, but it was Shotzi who tapped out to Ronda's armbar. But I wasn't a big fan of this match. It didn't do anything for me. We get a random hit row performance, and they don't even get to say anything because Bray Wyatt and Uncle Howdy interrupt. So I thought that was very interesting that they went with that route. I don't know if anything's going to come of this, especially because of what Bray Wyatt said. I mean, they hit the Sister Abigail to Adonis. Uncle Howdy did. And Bray Wyatt starts saying, "You're welcome, Montreal." And they start chanting, "Thank you, Bray." He basically goes on to say that now that he is once again in control of his family, tomorrow night, Lashley, Lesnar, whoever walks out alive, whoever is the winner, should run. So it's actually very intriguing. I don't think we've had Bray Wyatt versus Lesnar or Bray Wyatt versus Lashley. So it's definitely going to be an interesting matchup right there. But to go back to the Hit Row, I honestly feel kind of bad for Hit Row. I mean, they didn't click as baby faces. They're not doing really good jobs at being heels. They seriously need to replace Swerve Strickland. Ever since they got released and they came back and he didn't, I just feel like they don't know what to do with Hit Row. I thought Hit Row turning heel would be a new, I guess you can say, a new leash on life, but no, they just been a flop. I kind of feel bad for them. I really do. It's not their fault. They just don't work. And I'm very curious to see if their contract is renewed at the end of their run. We get a quick Madcap Moss promo. He basically talks about how nobody has a physique like him and nobody believed in him and that he is a superstar. So, small little promo from Madcap Moss. I've always said Madcap Moss is not a terrible wrestler. He just got straddled with a really horrible gimmick. So up next, we have Drew McIntyre and Sheamus versus the Viking Raiders. And honestly, this was actually a really good match. It was a banger after banger after banger, like Sheamus says. I thought with Valhalla at ringside that the Viking Raiders were going to win this. I was pleasantly surprised that Drew McIntyre and Sheamus won. But then again, I feel like right now is not the time for the Viking Raiders to be winning. Just because until they get those tag titles off the Usos, there's not really much for them to go. I honestly do feel once those tag titles come off the Usos, the Viking Raiders are going to win. Probably if they split, I'm assuming they split the titles here, the SmackDown tag titles at some point. But they're a really good team. But Drew McIntyre and Sheamus got the win here. They got their revenge after the Viking Raiders took them out of the tag team turmoil. We get a quick Rey Mysterio backstage promo. And they talk about what transpired between him and Santos Escobar. If you guys have seen the clip, Santos Escobar gave Rey Mysterio his mask, and Rey Mysterio gave Santos Escobar his mask. So Rey says that competition is always welcome here. But before he go any further, he's interrupted by Karrion Kross, and he tells him that once upon a time he wanted to be a father, and he thought to himself that it's not for him after the way he saw the Dominic talk to Rey. He says that unlike Rey, he doesn't have to walk around with a mask. And he tells Rey to do something about it, TikTok. So I'm still not clicking with Karrion Kross. I feel like, he had an abysmal performance at the Royal Rumble. Yeah, he won his feud with Drew McIntyre, but I don't know where Karrion Kross goes from here. I don't even see Karrion Kross competing at WrestleMania right now. So we get Asuka versus Liv Morgan. And this was actually not a bad match. I actually like this better than the tag team match SmackDown opened up with. So according to commentary, this whole match was because of some social media beef that was created by Carmella. And Asuka extends her hand to Liv Morgan, and Liv Morgan was about to shake her hand, but then Asuka moved it. So at some point, Nikki Cross and Raquel Rodriguez also come out, but they don't really get involved in this match. We got the Asuka lock to Liv Morgan, which allowed Asuka to pick up the win by submission. At the end, you got Raquel who coming in and Nikki Cross coming in. There's chaos in here. And Raquel helps Liv up, and then Liv hits Raquel with an Oblivion. And then Asuka and Liv Morgan have a moment. So, honestly, I think Asuka's going to win this. I don't see her losing so soon, especially since she debuted this new gimmick. So, I go with Asuka for this. So, it's not surprised she won. She's got to look strong and dominant. We get a Gunther backstage interview. He's talking about how he's been dominated for 252 days and how Madcap Moss is going to fall just like everybody else. He says that a few encouraging words will not help Moss. And this is right before his IC title match. We get the Intercontinental Championship match. It is Gunther versus Madcap Moss. This surprisingly was not a bad match. I've said it before. I said it earlier. Madcap Moss is not a bad wrestler. It's just he got straddled with a really bad gimmick. He was able to give Gunther a back suplex, a vertical suplex, which was he followed up with a swinging neck breaker, a fall-away slam. And I'm really happy this was not a squash match. I knew whoever won the Fatal 4-Way match last week was going to lose to Gunther. That was a given. But I thought this was going to be a squash match. I honestly thought Gunther was going to come in here and make quick work of Madcap Moss, but I'm surprised and happy it didn't play out that way. Madcap Moss actually shined in this match. And we just got to find a new gimmick for Madcap Moss to make it work, because this is, whatever gimmick he is, it's just not working for him. But Gunther is victorious, so no surprise there. And that was pretty much SmackDown. The end was a promo by Sami Zayn, which I talked about at the beginning. So overall, this is the go-home show to the Elimination Chamber, and I've always said the purpose of the go-home show is to sell you the pay-per-view. This did not sell me the pay-per-view at all. I did like Drew McIntyre and Sheamus versus the Viking Raiders. I did like Asuka versus Liv Morgan. I liked the Gunther versus Madcap Moss, and of course I liked that Sami Zayn promo, but everything else on SmackDown just felt really subpar and lackluster. I was not a huge fan of the hero performance. You could have done without that and just had the Bray Wyatt segment. But of course, unless this is going to lead to like a match with like maybe Top Dollar and Bray Wyatt, then I get why they did that. But if not, you could have just had Bray Wyatt go out there. The opening match with Natalya and Shotzi didn't do anything for me. Wasn't a huge fan of the Madcap Moss promo, but I did like his match. So overall, if this was just a regular episode of SmackDown, I'd probably give it a 7. But because this is a go-home show to the Elimination Chamber and this is supposed to start the pay-per-view, I'm going to give this a 6 out of 10 because there were things I liked, there were things I disliked, and I'm not sold on the Elimination Chamber because of this. But with that being said, that concludes the Friday Night SmackDown review. Alright, so tonight's Rampage was called AEW Rampage Slam Dunk, and it kicked off with the AEW World Trios Championship match. In a rematch, it was the Elite versus AR Fox and Top Flight. And they all came out wearing the basketball shirts and it was holding a basketball. And the fact that they incorporated the basketball in the match, I thought that was pretty cool. So I really like the fact that the Elite, Nick, he called for a timeout. And then they huddle. And then like in basketball, the crowd starts chanting like defense. And that's what the crowd was doing here. They were chanting defense, which I thought that was really, really cool. At one point, the Elite is like passing the basketball around. And honestly, like, this was a really good match. I actually think I like this match a lot better than I did their first match. Of course, the Elite is victorious after a one-wing angel to Darius by Kenny Omega. Afterwards, the lights go out and Malachi Black and Brody King appear on the ramp. So that to me tells me that the House of Black are the next challengers for the Elite and those Trios tag titles. That might happen at Revolution or might not happen until after Revolution, but with only 2 weeks to go, it probably might not happen at Revolution. We get a backstage interview with the Guns. It's funny because they call Lexi Nair Renee, and they basically are welcoming not only the Acclaim but all the tag teams to the Gun Show. So we get an Orange Cassidy and Wheeler Yuta segment, and basically Wheeler Yuta said he put himself through so much blood, sweat, and tears. He accuses Orange Cassidy of not teaching him anything. And Orange Cassidy says that he wasn't there to teach Wheeler anything. He was there as Wheeler Yuta's best friend. So Wheeler Yuta challenging Orange Cassidy for the All-Atlantic title, and Orange Cassidy does accept. We get Daniel Garcia versus Ricky Starks. This is a good match. Daniel Garcia targeting Ricky Starks' leg. At one point, Sammy Guevara did come out and he got involved in this match. Action Andretti took out Sammy Guevara. Ricky Starks hit Daniel Garcia with a spear and then hit him with the Rochambeau. And so Ricky Starks ended up being victorious. And at the end, Sammy Guevara called out Tony Khan. He says that he doesn't ask for much, but all he wants is a match with Action Andretti, and he's going to beat his ass. So that's actually going to be a really good match. Sammy Guevara versus Action Andretti. Oh, that's definitely going to be an amazing match. We get the TBS Championship match, Jade Cargill versus Vert Vixen. And we've seen this match before. I think this is, her second opportunity at the title. And this match was your basic Jade match. She dominated, did a hip toss. She even did push-ups during the match. She hit the Jaded and won. Now her record is perfect 53-0. What more can I say? There's not much more I can say. Like I said, basic standard Jade match. And they're all going to be like that. She's going to keep winning. She's going to keep dominating until, I'm assuming they're waiting on Chris Statlander to be healthy again. I honestly think it is going to be Chris Statlander just because they haven't had a proper match yet. I think when they were supposed to have one at All Out last year, but Chris Statlander unfortunately got injured before the match took place. So I'm assuming that's the route that they're heading to. Okay. So we get a main event promo. It's the first one in weeks. Lately, we've just been getting video packages. And Henry asks Swerve Strickland why he's been attacking Dustin Rhodes. He goes on to say that, there you go, making the Rhodes family victims again. They're not as innocent as they look. That's a grown-ass man over there, referring to Dustin Rhodes. And he said this is about respect, or the lack of it, that Dustin Rhodes has been showing Swerve Strickland and the mobile affiliates. He goes on to say that you know how important respect is for a man like him, for men like them. Men go to war over respect. Men die for respect. He's asked is Dustin willing to die because tonight he might have to. He questions where Trench is and accuses Dustin of being the reason why Trench is not there. He's been calling him on the phone for a week. Dustin tells him that no one cares about Trench. He has to deal with him. And he says that Swerve Strickland crossed the line talking about his family and told him he was going to go to hell. And now what's going to happen is that he says that sometimes you have to go to a dark place so that you can see the light. Dustin Rhodes tells Swerve Strickland hell is coming for him and Dustin is going with it. So this leads into the main event, which was Dustin Rhodes versus Swerve Strickland. Like, Dustin Rhodes guy had busted open during this match. Swerve Strickland biting Dustin's hand and then his head. There was a mid-air collision between both men. Before the match could end, the Mogul affiliates attacked Dustin Rhodes, and this caused a DQ. So at the end of the match, Parker Boudreaux and Swerve Strickland attacked Dustin Rhodes. Security tried to stop them, but Parker Boudreaux attacked all of the security guards, and that's when Keith Lee made his grand return to AEW and attacked them all from behind. And Keith Lee and Dustin Rhodes were left standing tall at the end of the show. And that is how AEW Rampage Talk ends. So I have to say, the match ended in DQ, which is not something that AEW does often. They don't end matches in DQ. There's usually a clear-cut finish and a clear-cut winner. I can't remember the last time AEW ended a match in DQ, but it seems like this feud probably isn't over for the time being. Maybe we might get a blow-off match at Revolution. But with being said, tonight's Rampage was the run-of-the-mill Rampage. I really liked the opening match for the trios titles. Daniel Garcia versus Ricky Starks was good. Even the main event was good. My only issue with the women's match is that we've seen that match before. But aside from that, it's your run-of-the-mill Rampage. So I'm going to give this a 7 out of 10 just because there were things I liked. And I actually liked the majority of tonight's show. And it was a very short show. But with that being said, you guys, thank you guys all so much for watching. And for the continuous support, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell so you get notified whenever I go live or release a new video. And I hope to see you guys tomorrow after the Elimination Chamber. Bye.